Today we are bombarded with these images of alien creatures. When they show these random images of these Nephilim, which appear to be aliens from outer space, that is showing what the children of these fallen angels and the daughters of men looked like during the days of Noah. What they did was they did forbidden, illegal tampering with the DNA and defiling it, corrupting it, intermingling it with the seed of these fallen angels. So the DNA was completely altered. And the Bible, of course, tells us in Genesis that the sons of God saw the daughters of men and thought they were beautiful and wanted them to be their wives, and they had children. But when we look at the book of Enoch, it goes into more details as to what actually happened and occurred during this time. When we look at the book of Enoch, chapter 1, or actually chapter 6, it reads, "And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Simjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing." And this great sin that they knew about. It says, "Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it." So that is why it was called Mount Hermon. They called it that because that was where they had sworn and bound themselves, knowing that this was a great sin. Okay, but they were already in rebellion, in direct rebellion against the Most High God. Chapter 7 reads, "And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000. Okay, so to break this down, 1 L is equal to about 42 centimeters. 3,000 L's is over 4,000 feet. That's how giant these giants were. These giants were not just a mere 8 to 10 feet tall. They were hundreds and thousands of feet tall, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts, and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones." It goes on to talk about the other forbidden knowledge that they taught besides the enchantments. But what we have to realize is that these are actually terrestrial beings. When those fallen angels made that pact, swore an oath to each other on Mount Hermon, they said they were going to do that thing. And that thing was to destroy creation, to intermingle with every facet of creation, which is why God had to destroy the world. Okay, he had to destroy the world population so that only Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their 3 wives Those 8 were the only ones to survive after the Great Flood, because everything had gotten so intermingled and they had created these creatures, these hybrids. But guess what? The Bible has already warned us in the New Testament that as in the days of Noah, so it shall be in the last days before the Son of God returns. This is going to happen again. And it's already happening. Why? Because not only are we seeing these images in TV shows and movies, but we know Area 51. We know what places like Roswell in New Mexico, 1947, the alleged alien landing, and they found aliens. These are terrestrial beings that have always been here on Earth, but they have been underground with the military hiding them. Okay, these are the creatures, and of course we all think that a lot of these creatures are also in Antarctica and the forbidden zones where people cannot go, and they have these hybrid creatures there as well, because what was done in the past is being done today. History has repeated itself, and they are creating these Nephilim, these creatures who have intermingled their seed with the seed of mankind. But they were in so much rebellion. They wanted to destroy creation the way God had perfectly made it in the beginning. Okay, it says that they bound themselves with an oath on Mount Hermon, and they decided to teach mankind all of the forbidden secrets. Magic, charms, enchantments. How many TV shows do we have now that deal with sorcery, charms, putting roots on people, sorcery, enchantments? All of this comes from the fallen ones. Okay, and they want us to embrace it. They want us to embrace not just magic and sorcery, but their children, these Nephilim beings, these hybrid creatures that were made by the mixing and mingling of seed from the human women and the fallen angels. And do you know what this really also relates to? Evolution, the missing link. They have been trying to find the so-called missing link between ape and man for ages, right? Ever since the theory of evolution, to prove that not only are we on a spinning ball and the Big Bang created everything, but that we evolved from monkeys. Okay? So think about how that factors into this big lie. They want us to believe that we come from monkeys or birds or any other type of animal or creature, which originated from sludge. Crazy, right? But that is what they want us to think. So with all these movies, and it just reminds me of the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau. In the movie, he was taking animals from the island and turning them into, or attempting to turn them into humans by injecting them with human DNA. And he tried to make all the animals into hybrids of each other and also spliced it with human DNA. And then he tried to make a human into an animal. So it just goes back to this whole fallen angel. When this thing happened and they made these creatures, these intermingled hybrid creatures, that's what we see today. That is what everything is based on. All of these, you know, the mythology, you see all of these different kinds of animals, half horse, half ape, half goat, half, you know, all of these half creatures, hybrid creatures, right? That is what this also represents. Okay, so they were taught all of these forbidden things. They had these children who were in rebellion, and their children, once they died, released evil spirits called demons. Those are the unclean spirits that are possessing these people in high positions. So, yeah, when you look at TV and you look at these commercials like the Butterfinger commercial, and you see this random alien who likes Butterfingers driving a car, and they want us to what, like the alien, to think it's cute or something. You see, they will do anything to make us want to have empathy and feel sorry for them and to actually think of them as the heroes. And that is why we have all of these vampire movies. They want us to love the vampires and to have feelings for them and to think of them as the hero, and to embrace them and to embrace witches and to embrace goblins and all these creatures that are evil, that are of the fallen ones. There is no redemption for them. There is no redemption for them. They come from the evil one. So they are trying to redeem them, give them some type of redemption, since they can't get it from God, who has already cursed them, and they are doomed. They are just in a state of doom because there is no hope for them. There is no help for them, nor for their children, for their offspring. So this is why it is so important for us to not get sucked into these types of images, to be entertained by them, if you will. Not to be entertained, but to, with a very discerning and careful eye, look at why we are seeing so many of these images and what it's trying to do to our children. Okay, to our children's minds, and to adults who are still into the whole Marvel and DC world, because they're fans from childhood, thinking that these creatures are heroes and we should love them, when they're showing us, oh, the fallen ones who came from outer space or from heaven, from outer this space, meaning above the firmament, they came down from that. That is what they're talking about. These are their children with these magic powers and these different abilities, and they have very so many abilities, and they want us to just focus in on that. These are hybrid creatures created in direct rebellion, knowing that it was a great sin, but they decided to take on the burden of that sin and to still swear an oath to each other that they would do that thing which was clearly against the Most High God. So hopefully this will help someone, and we just to remind us that just like the outer space images that we're seeing, we're going to be bombarded by these alien images and all of these hybrid creatures, giants. They had all kinds of creatures, but they want us to love them and to embrace them and to advocate for them. That is what they ultimately want us to do, so that when it does happen, when we do see them, and when they appear, just like in the days of Noah, so it shall be in the days of the return of the Son of Man. That is why they want us to love these creatures and to love the whole thought behind them. But we cannot do that with the discerning eye. We must critically examine what we are seeing, why we're seeing it, and to speak out against it. And I don't want to be a killjoy, because I grew up loving all these movies and TV shows as well. But we're living in the time now where time is drawing nigh, and we can no longer just be content with being entertained by what we're watching and just think, oh, it means nothing, because every day they are finding new ways to indoctrinate us and to continue it, and just to continue the mind control, and mainly the control over our minds every single day. And so that is the only way that we're going to be able to break free from this matrix, is to be able to see, those with eyes, please see. And that is what we have to do. We have to be discerning and speak out about all of these things that we're witnessing. And to share it with other people, and to hopefully warn someone as well. Once again, I hope this video helps someone, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon. But you be blessed. Keep your eyes open and just look around. Take care.